out there. I'm Greg Raleigh, and welcome to this new edition of It's Your Turn. Now, as I've told you before, we're going to continue on this show to give you information that will help you make better, healthy choices. We're also going to talk about issues that affect you in a negative way when you don't make healthy choices. So what's happened over the summer this year is that we've had some current issues that have come up. Two interesting studies, one by the CDC and the other one by the American Academy of Pediatrics. What I decided to bring guests on that will discuss these topics and these issues and reports with me, okay? In addition to that, we've got our favorite chef, Carl Black. He's come back by popular demand, and he's got some great dishes that you're going to love, okay? And in addition to that, we've got much, much more. So stay tuned. Welcome back. As I said before, we will continue to give you new ideas about healthy dishes or foods that you can make that are very healthy and very economical. Now, in the past, we had several chefs, but back by popular demand was our chef, Carl Black of Carl's Catering. Carl, thank you, man.
You're welcome, sir.
For coming back. Now, Carl did such a great job in the reviews and the emails that came back with people asking me what were those dishes was amazing. So that's why I reached out to you and asked you if you could come back and let's try something else, okay?
Yes.
So these are two wonderful dishes, so I want this to be your time. Break it down for us, okay?
All right, we'll start with the salad over here. We got mixed greens here, right? Arugula, spinach, other greens mixed in there, heirloom tomato right here, feta cheese, right? Cranberry, and there's a cranberry vinaigrette.
Okay.
This is all diabetic.
Now, how much is this expensive to make?
This is very cheap to make.
So you can make this at home? You
can make this easy at home. You can go to your nearest grocery store and get a little piece of cheese, which will cost you about 25 cents.
Okay. All right.
The little lettuce, you can get you can make it or you can get a little bag of it. It's about $3 or $4. Then everything else is just real cheap. One tomato there, little cranberries, dry cranberries, cheap item, little walnuts. Walnuts is very good for the diabetic too. Right. And then you got your vinaigrette dressing, which is good for the diabetic, which is cranberry. Right. And you got a little cilantro right there to make that green come out a little bit and taste a little bit more better. Okay, that's that salad there. Those are little orange there, which goes just a little bit with the salad and vinaigrettes and that.
As I said before, healthy and economical.
Yes.
That's the thing we want to preach here. Now, let's go to the dessert.
All right, this is a blueberry shortcake right here,
Looks good.
Blueberry shortcake. All right. With some berries on top. That was a little whipped cream. It's falling just a little bit, but we'll get that. And you got some peaches here. These are syrup on natural sugar. Okay. All right. And the blueberries on natural sugar. The cake, 3% sugar in that cake. Okay. Good. And that's it. The whole dish, probably about 6% sugar.
Now, once again, economically, you can buy this at any store.
Man, you're gonna. This store right here, this item right here. Guarantee you can go to your dollar store.
Wow.
And get this muffin mix.
Okay.
You can get them peaches from there.
Okay.
And you can get these blueberries.
Okay.
And economic.
Okay.
And a beautiful dish. You can set it out any way you like. It's beautiful. And it's very healthy.
Okay, because that's been a concern. People have been calling me back and asking all the time.
This peach right here is you can go to the dollar store, a nice frozen peach, sear it off in its own sauce and everything. Very economic. That blueberry mix right there, you can get that at your dollar store.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and you go in there and you tell them, look, you can tell them like, I want a blueberry mix with less sugar. Okay. And they'll order it for you. Okay. You know, those berries right there, those berries real cheap. You know, you can get those like by the pennies. Okay. You can go in your market, say, man, give me about 5 or 6 berries, you know, this and this and that. About $1.
The biggest concern, people always come to me back Carl's all the time, they say, I can't find this in the store. It costs so much money. Blueberries cost so much money. Do blueberries cost a lot, or are you buying them in bulk?
If they buy them in bulk, it costs more. Okay. If you making a dish like this. Okay. If you go in the store and tell a man, look, at your market. Okay. He probably give it to you 4 or 5 blueberries. Okay. You know, if you're making a nice little dish. Okay. But I added more blueberries around, okay? Okay. To blow it out a little bit. It's very cheap. Okay. You know, like the strawberries, the raspberries right there. Right. You go to your store, man, the man say, man, give me about 5 of those, 5 of those. You get it for about 25 cents, 50 cents. Okay. You know, if you know your market, he'll give it to you. Yeah. Yeah. Everything is a real economical, especially on this dessert here.
That's what we want to show people, that eating healthy does not cost money. You see it on TV all the time. You read it in the magazines, hear it in the newspaper. Yeah. People always complain that they cannot afford to eat healthy. And thank you, Carl. These are some great ideas. And what we're going to do, we're going to ask you to come back and give us something else and go in a different direction. Okay? You
okay.
Cool?
Yeah, I'm good with it. Okay. Let's do it.
Well, we'll be back. Thank you. Welcome back. As I said, in the summertime, there was a report released by the CDC which talked about the exercise level of people under the age of 19 equating that of 60-year-olds. Very disturbing study. So what I wanted to do on this show was bring in some officials to talk about how this affects their ability to do their job and identify candidates for the military. So I wanted to introduce a good friend of mine, Governor Tom Ridge. Mr. Ridge.
Greg, it's great to be with you. Thank you. Actually, we're going to talk about a very important subject. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Mr. Ridge is our former Secretary of Homeland Security and a dear friend of mine. We work out a lot, and we've done a lot of discussions about obesity and kids and exercise. So, Mr. Ridge, were you surprised by this CDC report?
Well, not only the Center for Disease Control's report, but there have been other reports, and I think you also read the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation report. We've talked about that. 70% of Americans, forget about young people, 70% of Americans are either considered to be overweight or obese.
Right.
That's 70%.
Right.
And to our discussions when we work out, 1 out of 3 young individuals who try to get in the military are disqualified because they're overweight.
See, a lot of people don't know that. And it's scary when I found that. That's why I wanted to reach out to you and say, what is the Pentagon DOD? What are you guys discussing about that? How do we remedy that?
Well, first of all, I think it is strictly from a military point of view. You want qualified men and women to withstand not only the rigors of training, but the rigors of the service. So it's about mission readiness.
Okay.
It's about achieving your goals. And frankly, as you well know, I mean, from the athletic career you had, you know how strenuous that is, but when you're in the military, you're kind of on guard 24/7, so it's a matter of being fit all the time to do their job. And one of the other things that military has found out, not only 1 or 3 overweight or obese and they disqualify themselves, they see a growing problem inside the military of people. They may be in good shape when they get there, but they've seen the level of people overweight within the military. So the military is saying, one, what are the standards? Should we dumb down the standards, or should we have a much more rigorous program in terms of fitness, in terms of calories, in terms of lifestyle and fitness programs? Something you and I talk about all the time. How many calories, like you tell me, what'd you have for breakfast? What'd you have for lunch? When's the last time you worked out? Don't eat that, don't eat this. So, but that's a mindset that the country should take. But I also think it's a mindset that the military is starting to think about in terms of just their mission, combat ready. Can't do it with overweight people.
Now, has the military at any point in time changed its rules and regulations where they allowed it to spread?
Well, it's an interesting question. In the past year and a half, there have been some retired senior officers who've taken a look at what's gone on in terms of the ability to recruit. More importantly, taking a look at the impact of an increasing number of men and women in the military gaining weight instead of maintaining a certain level of weight. So they've begun to, I don't think they're going to dumb down the standards. It looks to me like they're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of fitness and readiness, which means lifestyle, behavior, calories, exercise.
Does the ROTC, does they play a role in working with younger kids at the high schools in terms of developing healthy lifestyles, fitness, things like that? Is that a good way of partnering the DOD?
That's a really interesting question. actually somebody ought to take a look at that, because you know there are a lot of high schools that have Air Force, Army,
Right.
Navy, ROTC programs.
Right.
And I'm not sure that they do. So the connection that you're making, if you want to attract young men and women in the military, and they're marginally interested because they're in a high school ROTC, junior ROTC, maybe you get them a little more focused on their own fitness and their
Right.
own
Right.
personal health while they're there. It'll be a lot easier for them to get in the military if they can meet their minimal physical standards.
Okay. So what we want to get out of this is that we know that the DOD is very receptive to working with local cities, local municipalities, high schools, things like that, correct?
Right.
And so what we're hoping to get out of this show is that hopefully there are some school officials that are looking at this show and go, hey, if we don't have an ROTC in our program, who should we contact to say we want to bring ROTC to the school?
Well, that's a good question. I think probably the best way, and there are a couple schools in the Washington area that have these junior ROTC
Okay.
programs. I think the point of entry is with that branch of service that offers those programs. But I think you raise it to another level. If you're going to have that program, and most of the young men and women, Greg, in those programs don't go on to the military, but they learn a little bit teamwork and some physical fitness and how you work together to achieve a common goal. But some of them do go on. So the point you're making, and I'm not sure the military's paid that much attention to it yet, maybe they will with this discussion, maybe that ought to be emphasized in the junior ROTC program, because some of those young men and women may choose to make not necessarily a career out of the military, but that may be the next step after high school.
Ms. Ridge, this has been very interesting. And I look forward to you coming back on the show. I know you're really busy. I know you're traveling a lot. But it would be nice if we could find some other time for we could go back and discuss these things that you just talked about that, that were interesting points, and see if we can build on. Maybe you can help us bring in some other officials that can give us more details about
I
it.
think you're onto something here. You and I have had these many discussions, it's always humorous between the two of us, but it's serious business. There's so many health-related problems, whether in the military or not, for young men, for young boys and girls, men and women that are overweight and obese. It is a leading cause of, diabetes is attributed to it, and it really affects their lifestyle and the quality of life they live. So I think, man, I tip my hat to you. You've been on this. You've been on these lifestyle changes. You've talked about nutrition. You've talked about fitness, not within those who you're working with in the gym, but I know that's the kind of message you're trying to give to the broader community. So I'm happy to be on the program and happy to be back to continue the discussion.
Governor Ridge, thank you for your
My
time,
great
sir,
pleasure,
and
pal.
thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, Greg.
We'll be right back.
Everyone should know how to do hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, all you need are
two simple steps. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives.
just push to the beat of the classic song, Staying Alive.
It really works.
You didn't let me finish. I really do know this stuff.
If it wasn't for disco, I'd be dead.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Welcome back. As I said earlier, over the summer there was a report put out by the American Academy of Pediatrics that indicated that high blood pressure for kids under the age of 18 has gone up dramatically. Caught me off guard. It's very troubling, very scary. So what I decided to do is reach out to the community, to my friend Dr. Michael Darden. How are you, sir?
It is a pleasure, sir.
Dr. Darden, Pediatrics, is going to explain to us what this report was all about. Now, Dr. Darden, I'm a personal trainer and been a nutritionist for over 20 years. I understand high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, overweight. I didn't see this one coming.
Right.
So please, can you share with me, what is your insight on this as well?
Well, I think the American Academy of Pediatrics has always been following obesity.
Right.
But I think the whole issue of high blood pressure in kids, and I'll say between the ages of 11 and 18, was a shocker, I think, to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Pediatricians generally are not trained to manage hypertension.
Okay.
That's not in our purview.
Okay.
So I think it was a shock to them, and it was a shock primarily because we would say, all right, yeah, there's obesity. We know there's a lot of obesity in our kids. But for some of these kids to develop high blood pressure,
Exactly.
it's kind of scary. You kind of say, well, what's next?
Yeah, at that age.
At that age.
So what are the parents coming to you and they're asking you to check blood pressure? Or are you trying to get the parents to say, look, we need to add this to your checkup when we check for other issues. Now let's check the blood pressure to be on the safe side?
Well, fortunately, during our routine physical exams or sport physicals, and many times during illnesses as well, we check blood pressure routinely.
Right.
That's just part of our routine. And the majority of the time, at least for my 35-year experience, the blood pressures are fine.
Okay.
But recently, I've been seeing some kids with elevated blood pressure, and you say, oh my goodness, let me repeat this. Maybe they're anxious about being in the doctor's office, and you repeat it, it's still elevated. You have them come back another week, and it's still elevated,
Right.
and you say, okay, this kid has high blood pressure. High blood pressure is defined in terms of 3 separate categories. You can be normal,
Right.
you can be a pre-hypertensive, and you can be a hypertensive. One study in Houston, I think 2007, studied about 6,000 kids between the ages of 11 and 18, and they found that about 20%, and it was an even split, about 20% of those patients were either pre-hypertensive or frank hypertensives. So you're saying about 20% of that age group, at least from that study, has high blood pressure. That's scary.
That is scary. So what are the parents being honest about their diets? I mean, are they telling you that they're feeding the kids fruit punches, or they're drinking sodas, or they listen? Are they receptive to your suggestions on how to change the diet?
Many times, kids who have high blood pressure, and it's usually mixed with obesity, are embarrassed to mention what they eat at home and what they eat out in public, primarily because they are obese as well.
Right.
So hypertension, diabetes, and obesity form a triad. It's a fairly complicated situation. And we don't exactly know how those 3 diseases interact biochemically, but we do know that they are related. So anytime I see a patient in my office who's obviously obese, I'm going to be automatically alerted to their blood pressure. The one thing that scares parents, though, is that when I mention that Jonathan or Alexis has an elevated blood pressure, now that gets their attention. And then we can go from there and talk in terms of what we're going to do about it.
What I'm hoping, Dr. Darden, is that I have some parents who come to me and they've made me aware of the child's high blood pressure. I'm wondering if there's any chance that I can have you back on the show in the future with those parents, and I'd like to see the dialogue that goes on between the doctor and what their parents do in terms of, are their parents going to be receptive? Are they fighting you? Are they agreeing with you? Are they receptive to you? So, something we would like to do that in the future. Is that something you can fit into your schedule?
I think that would be a wonderful thing to do, and I'd be obligated to do it. I mean, in my line of work, it's a profession, and I think a profession entails me educating the public, and any venue in which I can do that, I'll be happy to do it.
Well, Dr. Darden, thank you for your time, sir, and thank you for your
pleasure.
service.
All right, now.
We'll be right back.
Slingshot.
Flying bird. Flying bird.
It's definitely a romantic comedy.
Wait, beneath my wing. No, you drink your
Shirt Man.
The Heart Attack sequel.
Going down.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man. No time to talk. The music loud. Women walk. Being kicked around since I was born.
This ever happened to you? Harmless game of charades based on film titles turning into a sudden cardiac event? Bam! Shaklaki! No? Well, it happens, all right? It's a real-life situation. Call 911, push hard and fast, okay? Focus! And yes, the beat of staying alive really works.
Today I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Susan Neely. Hello, Susan. How are you? Good to see you.
Well, good to be here.
Good to be here. Susan Neely is the president and CEO of the American Beverage Association. So what I want to do today, Susan, start with you, is that a lot of people don't understand exactly what is the American Beverage Association. So break that down for me.
Well, we are better known by our big brands, Coke, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi. But what people don't always realize is that Coke, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi make lots of different things. Bottled water, juice, juice drinks, tea, sports drinks. Think of an alcoholic beverage, and it's probably a Dr. Pepper, Coke, Pepsi products. So we represent all that. It's fun.
And see, that's the wild thing about it is that a lot of people don't understand. They think basically one-sided. And even I've gotten into discussion with people saying, no, they represent all drinks, pretty much 99, 100% of them of the company.
All non-alcoholic beverages.
All non-alcoholic beverages.
Right.
You've been very helpful to us in getting an understanding of how you're working in the community, because that's what we're seeing is a problem, is that those partnerships don't exist. But that's been very helpful to us. And so we want to reach out to you in the future, and we're hoping that sometime you'll come back and then share with us what more stuff you're doing, any new groups, any new programs, and let us know what we're doing and how we can be part of it. Can we attend the events? Can we meet some of your success stories? Can we talk to some of your school people? Is that possible? I would really appreciate it.
I love it, and absolutely we'll be back, or some of our success stories will be, because I think you're right on. It's all about the partnerships. That's how we get anything done, and that's how we're going to tackle this big problem of good nutrition and having healthy lifestyles.
Well, Susan, thank you for your time. It means a lot to me, okay?
Pleasure.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back. As I told you on our last show in the summertime, that we were going to be going into schools because we were aware of a pilot program that was being set up at 2 schools, and we were going to try to see what the students, how they responded, how they participated, what they thought they got out of it. And so we've had some success at Roosevelt High and at Eastern High. Well, today I want to introduce you one of our top performers at Eastern High School, Brianna Foreman. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
And we asked her mother, Miss Foreman, how are you?
Hello, fine.
I asked him to come along because as a top student in our program at Eastern, I had a chance to talk to Brianna, and she was telling me about her eating habits, and she was telling me about how disciplined her mother has worked with her in doing that. So I thought this would be great to hear from them, how they work together as mother-daughter, as a team, to have a healthy lifestyle. So Brianna, at your school now, are you playing any sports?
Yes, I am. I used to be in the band, but I currently joined track.
Okay.
I joined soccer. I'm playing flag football in the spring, and I also started athletic training with the football team.
So you did the program back in the springtime.
Yes.
And what did you think of it? Were you happy with it, excited about it?
I mean, considering I'm really passionate about staying fit and trying to stay healthy, I was really excited about it, and I was trying to make sure that all my peers and everything got excited about it with me and make sure that we just looked into it more. So I made sure a lot of my friends signed up.
And it was very helpful, Ms. Foreman. Your daughter was a true leader and trying to get some of the other students to come into the gym. So did you learn anything about it? Was it something you liked most out of it?
Well, for my part in the program, I did help students read the labels. So I learned how to read the labels actually myself. So with your help, I did learn how to see what fat was in it, what calories, and what's good for you. What's a certain level that you should eat every day, and I learned how to burn it off and everything. So yeah, I did really like it.
And Ms. Foreman, as I said, your daughter did some remarkable stuff with this program. So how did you go about getting her to accept healthy living and make better choices?
Well, at one point when she got ill, and so we had to change our diet, and really the practices are just, I had to start eating right too.
Okay. All right.
I had to change up some things to be encouraging to convince her that it tastes good. So I had to just come up with different ways of supplementing foods that will be more inviting to eat. It's about the way you change the way you cook, the way you present food, stuff like that. But other than that, I encourage her to read the labels a lot as far as the ingredients goes. We shop in places that educate us on how we should make sure to look for processed foods.
Okay, good.
So I always encourage her to look at the ingredients, because if they have a lot of long ingredients of words you don't know, more than likely it's processed
there you go.
foods.
That's one of the tricks. I like that.
So so that's where I just start off. The hardest part is just getting at her age, getting her to eat at home more, because I mean at her age she'll just make her own decisions and eat out. And so eating out is like the hardest part. And when you're out, you're hungry. But I just make sure that she knows, remember the things that we can eat, and that helps us daily.
Does the peer pressure from other friends, does that get you most of the time?
Not really. A lot of my friends don't. I haven't seen a lot of my friends really eat out like that. Maybe like the carry out. I mean, we all eat what's close by, of course, by school, and that's usually like the carry out or 7-Eleven or something.
Right.
But a lot of my friends are so involved, and we rarely get to leave the school building. So if we do get a chance to eat out, it's probably something really small because we trying to get back to practice or something.
Right.
No, not much peer pressure.
There's not a lot of peer pressure because a lot of kids tell me all the time, Mr. Raleigh, I only ate the McDonald's because everybody else is eating McDonald's. I'm like, that's no reason to eat it. They go, well, they serve pizza and I had to eat what everybody else eat. No, you don't. So, but Ms. Foreman, now, are you happy with your results? I mean, it's great to have a child with the discipline that she has, and that's going to help her as she goes to college because, you know, we know in college a lot of weight gain occurs. So you better get ready. So do you think you feel good about having her on the right track in terms of eating healthy?
I do. I think it's an ongoing thing.
Okay.
It's not something that you can just introduce overnight and just start getting it. It's something that is ongoing regularly because, I mean, there's so many variety of foods that we don't even introduce ourselves to.
Right.
Or we don't bother to because they're just not common.
Right.
So, like I said, it's just ongoing. There's always a different food that we can try. There's always something else that, you know, that we need. So I just encourage her regularly. I mean, I'm always discouraging her too when it comes to a lot of the junk food she has, and I'm kind of like, what is that?
Junk food.
So, but
is it when you're talking to her about food choices, do you find it? Are you fighting her when she asks you?
No, I mean, maybe some of the stuff we cook in the house, like when she's want to eat something new, like a new way of eating a vegetable, like she made cauliflower rice not too long ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like cauliflower.
I like cauliflower too. I don't know if I like the rice version so much. So I'm not fighting on it, but I'm like, we got to add a little bit of seasoning or something to it for me to get to eat this. But I'm not fighting that much on it.
Did you ever think about how much money you saved by not eating out at carry-out foods? Because that's one of the things we talked about the program was the economics behind it.
Yeah, I have. Like, eating in the house, I try to think about, like, more, like, before I eat out, I'm like, what's in the house first? Like, even if I don't want it, what's in there before I spend this $10, I can use something else. So,
you can use something else.
So I do try to go in the house and look first.
Okay.
And if I can't find anything, I try to pick the healthiest thing out. Like, I eat chopped a lot, so I eat a lot of salad and stuff when I'm out.
Fan.
So, yeah, I don't try to always go straight to, like, a McDonald's or anything. Yeah.
Well, so I'd like to thank you, ladies, for being on the show. This has been really helpful. Now, before you go to college, I expect you to come back on the show and talk about how you're ready and how your diet's going to, because it's going to, all of us who went to college, it's a very hard thing to do to balance education, going to class with foods. So you're going to have to learn that. So I don't want you to come on your mom and go, I don't recognize you. So we want to talk about that. Ms. Foreman, I really appreciate the time. Congratulations on the success with your daughter.
Thank you.
And I hope much best success for you, and I hope to have you back on the show some other time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. We'll be right back.
High blood pressure has a domino effect. It can cause stroke, heart attack, or heart failure. It even causes vision loss, kidney disease, and sexual dysfunction. You heard me. It doesn't have symptoms, but the consequences are serious. You can take control with a simple test. Check your blood pressure before it checks you.
Welcome back. I told you this was going to be a great show. I learned so much, and to have those guests on there, and for our guests to find the time to come to DC TV and give us this information, we really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. Now, you learned a lot. Now you can go home and apply this stuff to your home with your kids right now. That's the reason we do this show, to give you simple solutions to improve your health. Now, if you want to find out more about what we did on this show, go to foodforfuel.org, send us a message. I promise you, we will get back with you, okay? Now, let's thank everybody. I want to thank you. I want to thank DC TV. And what we always said, take back control of your health. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.